Look, when you have a really pressing, difficult decision, you're to take refuge in the goodness, the love of your God. Surely this is your God, isn't it? That you're able to turn to Him when perplexed and pressed. By which we mean you want His overruling. Is this right or wrong? Well, surely it's better than doing something willfully and individually that's inharmonious with His will. What is His will as far as you can see it? It is to love and care for all life. Right. Father, guide me that I act and will in harmony with yours. Do I have to ask this? No, because obviously He'll do what's best, always. What do I have to do then? I have to take up that stand that wants exactly that. God's loving will for all life, including this situation that I'm puzzled over and pressed by. So, I'm here practicing, learning. It's a teaching situation, and God is teaching me. What am I to do as a good student? Diligently try to understand what is in God's perfect will and act accordingly. I mean, to see if I got it right. Now, what I'm tempted to say is not take my hands off the situation and just say, oh, too difficult a lesson, Lord, I leave this to you. I'm a complete non-actor in this. That doesn't seem right if really I'm in a learning situation. I'm not actually meant to just take my hands off everything. After all, He could sterilize me in heaven and have me there, but not interacting with anyone in case I wreck the joint. That's not it, is it? So, it doesn't mean to say I now recklessly do what I think is best. I earnestly do what I think is best, and by which I mean I earnestly consider before I act what is best. Best means according to God's love and care of all concerned and affected by this decision. Now, I don't have the full information that God has, so I can't reliably, in other words, without uncertainty, arrive at this ideal right decision as I'm conceptualizing it. I'm in a situation of uncertainty. I'm not uncertain about the values in the sense that I think my values are that God cares for all life and wants the best. But only you, Dad, can choose the best. And I'm in a decision that presses me where I don't know as I can simply take my hands off it. It's as if the circumstances compel me to act, even though I act in uncertainty. And after all, even if I take my hands off it, it is a decision made in uncertainty. I still don't know that's the best thing to do. I'm in a quandary, Dad. How do I solve such situations? Let me think about this for a minute. Well, I'm tempted to say, I don't know if tempted is the right phrase to introduce this. I think it's the case that we should do what we think is right and trust in God utterly to rescue us if such a decision is not right with Him. You see, it's because in either circumstance, whether I do that or whether I take my hands off it, I still do such in uncertainty. You know, if I take my hands off it and say, leave it entirely to you, God, I think that's the best thing to do. I could still be wrong. There is always going to be uncertainty. The fact that there is uncertainty doesn't mean, oh, I must avoid this situation. Because everything is laced with uncertainty, I do not have the full information that God has as to whether to act in a certain way or whether not to act is best. I don't know. I don't know of a certainty that it is best to defer it to Him. I may find that no, you are here in this earth so that you learn the consequences of what you think is best by doing what you think is best and seeing the fruits. And certainly that gives you great incentive to think very carefully what is best before you do it and choose it. And then when you do it and you see the consequences, that may influence you, not declare to you that you now know, but may influence you accordingly. In other words, you're going to rely on God to teach you by doing where you do not know. Wow. But if you can't rely on God in that situation, where are you? Because by not doing, you're still relying on God. Unless by not doing, I find that it always seems to be for the best when I don't act. I've looked back on my life and I've seen many situations where I've acted and it's not been for the best. In the sense that, broadly speaking, I can see that it wasn't necessary to act in such and such a way. I should have just stayed where I was. Whether it's advising Mum that perhaps she should listen to her solicitor and leave Dad, which on reflection I thought was an appalling thing for a solicitor to risk advising anyone. But he probably did it again because he thought, well, this is the best thing from what this lady's saying. And whether to leave home myself, I didn't have to leave Dad, and in hindsight it would have been better if I'd stayed and still been loyal to Mum. And when things were difficult for Mum, therefore be an avenue back for her, because Dad would have had her back. You see, I made a mistake. I did what I thought was right, but I was wrong. There are all sorts of situations like that where I've moved unnecessarily. Did I need to move to New Zealand? No, I expect God would have continued providing for us where we were. Was it a great benefit when I did move to New Zealand? Yes. But there were great difficulties as well. I remember feeling quite desperate at one point when we first lived in Taupiri. And our first and our second house there were difficult times. Look, I don't know. That's the reality. I'm in a world of uncertainty. Let me pause yet again. Oh, well, it's in the pause that is the answer. You pause until you are sure. In other words, you pause until you just think the whole weight of things is on me acting in a certain way. I really wonder if I shouldn't do exactly that, although it might seem radical, major. And then if you're still wrong, and you shouldn't have acted, well, hey, God loves you. You're allowed to be wrong. And he rescues us because he's our dad, for goodness sake. And he'll try and find a way of showing us some other way. You're going to trust him with all your heart because he's very able and he's very loving. And that's what we trust. So I'm now on the track of you're still not certain enough to act. You're not sure enough to act yet. Don't act. Circumstances may push you endlessly in that direction, and in the end you become sure that you should act. Good. But don't act until you're in that position. So you wait and see. You think you perhaps should be doing so and so, but you're not sure. So you wait and you see. Does the field clear? Does the view clear? Or does it get worse and worse? So that you think more and more perhaps you should act in that certain way. And you see how God leads you accordingly, which is different to simply saying, oh, I have a problem here, I think I should do so-and-so and change such and such, and off you do and change it. Do you see? If it's a problem, watch it closely, so that you're open to God's leading and intuition and what he's doing next. He may make it even clearer that you should do so-and-so, or less clear because actually the problem's not as serious as you thought. It seems in fact to have dissipated. You didn't have to make this dramatic decision. Let me leave it there for a minute, can I? Bless you. Thank you, Dad.